Hello.
We are live.
Okay, hi everybody, and thank you very much for joining us here for this amazing opportunity to learn more about things that we need to learn about coaching in the Northwest Territories and beyond that. So today we have with us Cassidy and Sebastian, and I'm just going to hand it over right away after saying that I'm here on the beautiful lands of the Mackenzie River and the Diga-Gutchie First Nations and the Diga-Gutchie Métis. And it's a wonderful, beautiful day. The river is glowing with ice on top. And Cassidy, over to you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm just going to have Sebastian, if you can share your screen and get us going on that side. I'll do a little introduction today. So my name is Cassidy Woods. I work here at the Richmond Oval in the High Performance Department. Located at the Richmond Olympic Oval, located on the traditional territory of Coast Salish and Musqueam people. So today we have, oh, there we go. We're sharing our screen. Excellent. Oh,
Sorry.
Going a little fast there. All good. Yeah, and you can just go into the presentation because if we hit the link, then it'll take us to that video there.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh.
Oops.
Got a little bit of a lag. So today we're talking about how we're looking at integrating strength and conditioning into sustainable long-term athlete development programs, particularly as they pertain to table tennis. That will be one of our focuses, and we'll use a couple of other examples. So within Oval High Performance, we work with a number of different groups. We have table tennis, we've got some climbers, we've got speed skaters, hockey. We work with community all the way up to international, national level athletes going to the Olympics and representing us on that stage. So we also have joining us today and who will be taking care of the rest of this presentation is one of the Oval High Performance strength coaches, Sebastian. Sebastian has been working with our team for a number of years now. He is an excellent part of our team. He's got his bachelor's in kinesiology, is a registered kinesiologist, and is a strength and conditioning coach, not only at the Oval, but at other locations. He's got such great information, a wealth of knowledge. I'm going to hand it on over to him now as he goes on and explains how we can integrate strength and conditioning throughout all of the stages of long-term athlete development. Sebastian, thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar session. Can everybody hear me? I'm not muted, right? Yes? Hello?
You're good.
Yeah, okay. So I'm Sebastian Tortorolo. I am, as Cassidy mentioned, I am a strength and conditioning coach here at the Richmond Olympic Oval. These are just some of the teams I have worked with in the past, including the UBC Thunderbirds, Volleyball Canada, the Regional Excellence Program, where we develop young athletes and we try to get them ready for the national platform. We have Rowing BC, Karate BC, Judo BC, currently working with table tennis as well. My job is to help young athletes develop a strong foundational base to train, compete, and reduce their likelihood of injury. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so today's webinar overview, we're going to be talking about some terminology. What is strength and conditioning and sports performance training? We're going to talk a little bit about the developing young athletes and how we can integrate the long-term athlete development model to guide our programming. There we go. So what is strength and conditioning? At its base, strength and conditioning is the practical application of sports science to enhance movement quality. Strength and conditioning is not just Olympic lifting, sled pushes, hill sprints, jumping over hurdles, a lot of things that you see on social media. It is way more than that. Although we associate these movements with strength and conditioning and sports performance, they are just tools to aid in strength and conditioning. What strength and conditioning is we focus on movement quality to improve sports performance. And not necessarily sport performance, but performance in general, regardless if you're in a sport or you're in professions such as the labor force or you're a firefighter. So we focus on improving qualities such as speed, strength, power, stability, or balance, depending on the specific needs that you need for your sport or profession. It could be an athlete trying to decrease their time for, let's say, a rowing athlete trying to decrease their time for their 2K. It can be a judo athlete, just like we see here in the picture, who's trying to get stronger and more powerful in order to be able to lift somebody off the ground and get their points. It can be a table tennis athlete who's trying to increase their rotational power. Or it can also be a table tennis athlete trying to increase their strength in order to, in order for the muscles to be able to take on that stress and get injured less or reduce their likelihood of injury. To give you an example, we've worked with the Richmond Fire Department, and firefighters have shoulder issues, knee issues, and back issues. So what happens is, if we're able to increase the strength throughout those joints, throughout those muscles, we are able to, as I mentioned previously, we're able to sustain more stress in those areas that they need. And the stress is going to be placed on the muscle itself rather than the ligaments, the tendons, the joint itself. And so that way we can decrease their risk of injury. Let's go to the next one. 1 second. Sorry. There we go. Okay, I just want to talk a little bit about terminology. So when I start expanding on this, we are all on the same page. So these are the 5 components of health-related fitness. We have cardiovascular endurance, which is the ability of the heart, blood vessels, and lungs to supply oxygen to the muscles over long periods of physical activity. We have muscular strength, which is the ability of a muscle or muscles to push or pull with its total force, maximum force. Muscular endurance is the ability of muscles to repeat a movement many times or hold a position without stopping to rest. One thing to note is that a muscular strength always comes before muscular endurance. In order for an athlete or an individual to practice and train their muscular endurance, they need to have the muscular strength first. Flexibility, the muscle's ability to move a joint through full range of motion. And body composition, the combination of fat mass, fat-free mass, including fat, bones, muscles, organs, water. We're really not going to talk about body composition today. We're going to stay within the other 4. All right, so we have the 5 components of health-related fitness, but we also have the 6 components of skill-related fitness. These are the skills needed in every sport. Skill athletes typically excel in all these 6 areas. We have agility, which is the ability to rapidly and accurately change direction of the body, such as a table tennis player. We have balance, the ability to control or stabilize the body when a person's standing or moving. Here we have David, here in the picture over here, we have David. He's one of our figure skaters who trains with us. He's a very high level athlete. As you can tell, figure skaters need exceptional balance in order to stabilize themselves while skating on one leg. Power, the ability to move body parts swiftly while applying maximum force of the muscles. Such as a judo athlete, you need a high level of power in order to, as previously mentioned, pick somebody off the floor and take them down in order to score those points. Speed is the ability to move your body swiftly. One thing to note is that power is speed times strength. Coordination is the ability to sense together with body parts in order to perform motor tasks smoothly and accurately. So let's think about a hockey player or a basketball player, right? In basketball, you need an ability, high coordination in order to dribble the ball, run at the same time, see where your opponents are, see where your teammates are, being able to look for the open shot and shoot. Very similar to hockey as well. High levels of coordination, handling the puck. Reaction time is the ability to reach or respond quickly to what we hear, see, or feel. As I mentioned, athletes, skill athletes, they need to excel in all these 6 areas. Okay, so I just want to show a little video of Wesley Chu, who's one of our figure skater athletes. He's very high level. And I just want to show these 6 skill-related fitness in action. So as you can tell, an athlete like Wesley, he needs agility, he needs balance, power, speed, coordination, reaction time, right? He needs agility. As he skates, he needs that ability to transfer his body side to side. He needs to be balanced while he skates and when he lands. He needs the power in order to propel himself into the air high enough to have enough time to do that triple rotation. He needs speed, right, in order to build the amount of height he wants to achieve. He needs coordination, right? As you can tell, figure skating, high levels of coordination and reaction time. He needs to be able to react as he's falling onto the ice, to balance himself and just to react appropriately. Okay, I just want to show another video of our regional excellence program that trains here at the Oval. They also train in the high performance department. I understand it's not the best quality video. It was taken from my phone, but it's pretty good content. So as you can see, volleyball players also need all those skills in order to be successful at that sport, at volleyball or any sport. Sorry. There we go. All right. So now talking about developing young athletes. So the reason why I want to talk about the developing young athletes is because with the growing interest in youth sports performance, it is important for professionals, coaches, parents to understand the fundamental principles of normal growth and development. So we have youth. What is youth? Okay, so 2 categories. We have children and we have adolescents. So a little bit more terminology here. So we have chronological age and biological age. So biological age is the age that is determined by physiology. So factors include changes in physical structure of the body, as well as changes in performance of motor skills and sensory awareness. Chronological age is the age determined by the passage of time. So it is important to know and understand that children do not grow at a constant rate. There are substantial inter-individual differences in physical development at any chronological age. Developmental age is growth and development and rate of maturation, which is it's based on the genes, hormones, nutrients, and the environment, physical and psychosocial. So as mentioned, we need to train not according to chronological age, but based upon developmental age. A kid who is slow to develop will need a different training program than someone of the exact same calendar age who develops rapidly. I have many different athletes of different ages who, to give you an example, I have a 12-year-old volleyball athlete, two different 12-year-old volleyball athletes. One is already developed and ready to train at a training to compete stage or training to train stage, while the other one is still at a learning to train stage. So I'm going to introduce here the long-term athlete development model, but just note that just because a certain athlete falls under a certain age category, we still need to account for their biological age. So what is the long-term athlete development model? The long-term athlete development model is a planned, systematic, progressive development of individual athletes throughout their lifespan. It is a model for long-term performance success, not short-term rapid success, but long-term. It's how do we build athletes? How do we give them the proper foundation so they can have success at a later age? The reason why this was developed is due to the fact that there's a lot of advanced programs that are being delivered to younger kids without accounting for their developmental age. And what's going on is that a lot of parents, they don't know, right? They don't know what is best for their kids. And usually what would happen is coaches will try to push kids to specialize in certain sports. And that is not the best practice. That is not what is best for the child. We want long-term success, not short-term gains. This is just a little quote from the great Michael Jordan. Get the fundamentals down and the level of everything you do will rise. So this is what our topic is going to be today. It's going to be about the long-term athlete development model, talking about building fundamental movement skills and at what stages we need to be doing certain skills. So I just want to start off with our stage one, active start. This starts from the age of just from when they're born all the way to 6 years old. At this stage, it's all about playing, having fun, games. So 99% having fun, playing games, and 1% instruction. Is high engagement. The point is to just get them exposed to different environments, get them exposed to different movements. We want them to learn how to control their own body. At this stage, no resistance training, of course. We want, if you can find a good martial arts instructor, we are going to be taking off all their fundamental movement skills. We're going to be doing running, jumping, throwing, kicking, grasping, tumbling. At this age, tumbling or gymnastics is a great sport for them because it teaches them how to little bit of body awareness for their for little body awareness, how to tumble, how to fall down, different activities. At this age, we just want to let kids be kids. We just want to take them to the playground, have fun with their kids, with their friends, go on the monkey bars, as long as it's safe, right? We want to take them to an environment where there's lots of activities for them to do safely. Rugby. These are actually my two boys. They're in martial arts. They are in rugby as well. I think rugby is a great sport for them as well, because we are checking off a lot of boxes. We're tumbling, we're running, we're doing a little bit of wrestling. We are catching a ball, we are throwing it back, we are kicking. They're just letting kids be kids. Just give them a ball, let them run around. All right, next we have stage 2. This is the fundamental stage. It goes from around age 6 to age 9. At this stage, very similar to the previous stage, we still want a lot of, it's composed mainly of games. Maybe about 90% fun and games and 10% instructions. This is where the first physical literacy window begins. And it goes from age 6 to age 12. This is our window of adaptability. This is the best time to learn all the fundamental movement skills, to continue on practicing those fundamental movement skills. And there's also a lot of evidence that if children don't learn the fundamental movement skills at this stage, they won't be able to learn them as well later on. So this is a very crucial time. And at this stage, you still want to do the same things that we talked about stage 1. We want to be doing a lot of play, a lot of games, exposing them to different environments, monkey bars, just letting kids be kids. But when we teach these skills, we want to be able to disguise the intent. And what I mean is, if our goal is to get them working on some sprints, we're not going to say, hey, you need to go run from here to that cone and back 5 times. Okay, we need to disguise it. We need to add some games. So some relay races, teamwork, team games is very important. So for example, in this picture here, we have kids going through these little hoops and kicking the ball. So we're working a little bit on our kicking fundamental movement skills, kicking the ball through the hoops, coordination, kicking, running, and it's disguised, right? So they think it's a game, they're having fun, and that's the most important thing. It's having fun at this stage, so that way we can associate physical activity with fun and just a positive experience, so that way they can take that over their life. All right, so this is just going to show a quick little video. This is a good example of kids just in an obstacle course. This is kind of what kids should be doing right now.
Extreme! Parkour! This is parkour. Internet sensation of 2004. And it was
Okay, we all go together or we go one at a time.
Here it is. Truck to refrigerators to dumpster, 360 spin onto the palace, backflip gainer into the trash can.
Yeah.
Parkour! I'm right behind
Yeah, so don't have your kids or your athletes jumping off houses, but this is just providing kids with an obstacle course and just letting them have fun. That is the goal, just improving their fundamental movement skills. Oops. All right, so that gets us to stage number 3, which is our learning learning to train stage, and that is from age 9 to age 12. This is our second physical literacy window. It is important to continue developing those fundamental movement skills that we talked in the past: tumbling, climbing, jumping, running, kicking, catching, throwing, but with a little bit more speed, a little bit more formal practice. This is also the stage where we have some talent identification. So we start to notice what sports the child or the athlete is good at. And this is going to be basically off, they're starting to develop. It's also important to understand that just because a child is doing really good at a certain sport right now doesn't mean they're going to be doing good later on. It can just be that they mature at a little bit early age and they're a little bit stronger, a little bit taller, a little bit bigger than the other kids. But at this stage, we start to see what they're going to be good at. Formal practice, we still want about 80% fun and games and 20% just formal practice, just technique. As I said, we continue to improve the skills from our stage 1, and we continue to expand them and making them more complex, whether that's making them faster, just a little bit difficult, changing the size of the balls. Instead of having a big ball for them to catch, move down to a smaller ball. This stage is also important to start developing some anaerobic capacity. So the ability for them to be able to sprint and recover fast. At this stage, we still want to play about 3 to 4 sports a year. Don't limit them on the amount of training and the amount of sports that they want to try out. We can also begin basic resistance training, starting from body weight, simple, such as push-ups, handstands, some squats, some sprints, some tag sprints. Those are great to develop not only anaerobic capacity, but also just getting them started to build a little bit of strength as well. We want to, that was me, sorry. What we want to do is we want them to master their body weight first. And then once they've shown good technique with, let's say, a push-up or a squat, then we can start moving on to dumbbells at this age. It's perfectly safe as long as they have good technique with body weight, and we slowly start to add a little bit of weight. As you can see here in this picture, there is a 2.5 kilo plate. And so what it is we kind of scale down the weight. So when an athlete, when a young athlete comes to us and they want to train, what we mostly focus on is fun and games, developing their fundamental movement skills, and introducing them to light weight training. So what this plate does is it's big, but it actually does not weigh a lot. We have 10-pound bars. We have these 5-pound weights. So if they do want to, once they've shown proficiency with the body weights and dumbbells, we can start moving them to barbell. They think they're lifting a lot, but it's actually 10, 15 pounds. And it makes them feel confident, it makes them feel strong. And we're building we're providing a positive experience for the athletes, for the young athletes to want to come in and continue training. At this stage, it is also to focus on landing mechanics. It is important to emphasize landing mechanics, and we want to make sure they land in a squat to minimize any impact on the knees. Working on coordination as well. So this is a little chart. As you can see, it's a pyramid. First, we want to focus on the fundamental movement skills. That's going to be our foundation. That's going to be our wide base. afterwards, we want to focus on the general fitness aspect. So those are the skills that I previously went, the 5 components of fitness, and then we can start working on our sport-specific skills, such as power, speed, coordination, balance. Stage 4, we have our training to train stage, and this is where I have a lot of athletes at this age, so that's between the ages of 12 and 16, and this is where we start to give them more complex motor skills. More formal training begins. We start to develop those qualities, the endurance, the strength, the speed. We start to focus a little bit more on those athletic skills. We need to understand that at this age, this is when peak height velocity occurs, and that's when they start to grow very rapidly. And at this age, we need to understand that there's going to be some loss of motor coordination due to the growth rate. And so we also need to be careful with any jumping and landing mechanics. They're going to look a little bit uncoordinated. And so this is the stage where we may just reduce the amount of jumps that they do. After 12 to 18 months of their peak high, when the peak high velocity occurs, this is the perfect time to continue to implement strength training, strength and conditioning, bringing them to the gym and teaching them proper gym etiquette, always focusing on technique, always how to be safe in the gym. We still want to provide games. We still want to have let them have fun. So most of it is going to look like 70% having fun, training through games, and 30% some formal training. At this stage, training competition should stay balanced, and this is also the time where there's going to be a lot of sports specialization schools trying to push parents and kids to focus solely on one sport. And unless it's a sport like gymnastics or figure skating, we need to encourage playing multiple sports throughout different seasons. Lastly, I just want to talk a little bit about if we're training in the weight room, we need to focus on multiple reps. So multiple reps, as in 8 reps to 12 reps, in order to build a little bit more on, continue to work on our technical skills, our proficiency with weights. We need to be conservative at this stage. We need to understand that just because you can go heavier, just because you're getting stronger, and just because you can go heavier doesn't mean you should. We need to continue to leave a couple of reps in the tank. We don't want to risk any injuries in the weight room. We need to understand, we need to educate athletes that the weight room is just a supplement. It's a supplement for their sport. It's just to help them better at their sport. We want to gradually build the technique. And so what that would look like is bringing them, talking a little bit about technique, 5-10 minutes of technique, practicing, and then going back to games, as I mentioned. This is one of my hockey groups. As I mentioned, we want to make the sessions a lot of fun. And so this is just a little clip on little games we can implement. Even at the end of the session, we always want to leave on a good note. This is a small little clip that I'll show you.
Shoulders, jump, head, shoulders, knees, toes, head, shoulders, knees, jump, 360 jump, 360 jump, 360 jump, head, shoulders, ball.
So as you can see, they just get extremely excited after playing a quick game. This is at the end of our session. We did a little bit of technique. We did we had some fun. We did some weight training, and then now at the end of our session, we want to end on a good note, playing, having fun. Okay, so now we're moving on to our stage 5 of the long-term athlete development model, and this is learning to compete. This is going to be for those high school athletes from, let's say, the sophomore years all the way to the senior year. At this point, you should know what sports you are having a lot of success in. And at this time, you're probably starting to put all your energy and effort into one sport. That doesn't mean you should just do one sport, but you, at this stage, you definitely know what sport suits your body, your and another sport that and the same sport that you enjoy the most, that you're having success at. At this stage, we start to train to improve performance for that specific sport. We want to emphasize the skills specific to your sport. So if your sport, for example, we have here in this picture, this is our Thunder rowing team, high performance rowing team. We want to include movements in the gym that are going to make you better for that sport. As I said, these are typically 17, 18-year-old athletes. And here's where we specialize. This is where we have a periodized plan periodized plan that we program for the rest of the year. At this age, you can do absolutely everything: body weights, barbells. We can focus on power. We can focus on speed. At this age, you can do everything. At this age, we also want to introduce sport-specific hypertrophy, which is needed to excel in that sport. So hypertrophy is the muscles that are needed. We're trying to grow the muscles that are needed for that sport. We're just trying to grow them. We're just trying to make them stronger. And we do a plan where we specifically focus on hypertrophy, meaning a little bit higher reps early in the season, and then we move on to strength. Once we have the strength down, we move on to speed. And yeah. Okay, so here I just want to show one of my athletes here. He's in the weight room. He's trying to go up in weight on our hang cleans, very specific for the sport of rowing. So as we see, he missed the hang clean. But in this next video, he kept trying, and here's the result.
Oh, wow. Good job.
So I just want to show that video just to show that the weight room is not just for physical development, but it's also a form of gaining confidence, and just it's all part of athlete development. So Ryan here, he was having a little bit issues. He was capable. He has the strength. He has the physical capabilities of doing that amount of weight. And it was just a little bit of hesitation that he was having. And so he tried safely under supervised, under coaches where we're supervising him. And he was able to hit it through raising his confidence, raising his motivation, knowing that he can do it if he puts his mind on it. This is another one of our volleyball athletes. She's performing a trap bar deadlift And the whole reason why she's doing this is she's trying to improve on her jump. She wants to jump higher. And so this is a specific exercise for this individual to gain power throughout the legs, so that way she's going to be able to jump higher.
Coming down.
So as I said, this is the learning to compete stage. We are trying to give them exercises that are specific to the sport in order to improve performance in that sport. Even if these are high school athletes, 16 to 18-year-old, we still want to integrate fun in games. So at the end of our session, we play a game, we make it challenging, we make it fun. These are rowing athletes, and so although it's an individual sport, for the most part, they do train as a team, and we still want to include a strong team culture in the gym, which transfers over to their training room as well. So the reason why I chose this video is, as I mentioned, these are rowing athletes, and a fundamental skill that gets ignored by them is throwing, catching the ball. And so through these little games, we can still incorporate these fundamental movement skills that are often neglected by them and continue to practice them. All right. These are speed skaters. These are our oval high performance speed skaters, and they're always on ice. One thing that we started to integrate is a little bit of wrestling, a watered down wrestling. So we have dowels, each athlete's holding dowels, and they're just trying to push each other out of this square.
Nice.
So the reason why we integrated this with our speed skaters is speed skaters are always on ice. They don't really do a lot of tumbling. They don't really manipulate another person's body, but it's very important for them to understand, because when they're passing somebody on ice and somebody's shoving them or pushing them a little bit, they understand how to coordinate themselves and put themselves in a position which it's not going to hinder them, and they can find success out of those positions. So it's just little things like that that can improve performance. It's just increasing their body awareness. The last stage, I'm not going to talk too much about it, is the training to compete stage. This is complete sports specialization, where an athlete is just completely focused on achieving winning at all costs, winning. Mental preparation is a big part here. We're completely focused on sport specific for competition for that sport, and not a lot changes from the previous stage. It's just other components are added onto it. Just as I mentioned, mental preparation has to be on point. Our nutrition has to be on point for us to be able to compete at the biggest stage. One thing to note is when working with youth, this is a quote I found. I don't know who wrote it. I just remember I saved it, but it really resonates. So when coaching youth sports, don't coach youth sports to try and win as many games as you can. Coach youth sports to try and positively influence as many lives as you can. So as I mentioned, fundamental movement skills. Let's provide our athletes with the widest foundation we can for them to succeed at a later on, and for them to take those skills and benefit them throughout their whole life. PhytoSpa, just to give any coaches out here a little acronym here that I use in order to, when I program any of my sessions. PhytoSpa stands for fun, inclusive, developmentally appropriate, organized, safe, purposeful, and active. So as I said, every time I structure a session, I make sure I have all these checked off. I start off with the I rather than the fun, because if I make sure I have all these in order, if I have IDOSPA, I know for sure it's going to be fun. Okay, so inclusive, just teamwork. Are we incorporating the whole team into working together? Are we including a positive team environment for everybody to feel safe and enjoying their sessions? We want to make it developmentally appropriate, and this goes back to the long-term athlete development model, focusing on the stages and what skills we need to work at during those stages. We want to make sure the session is organized. Safe. Do we have a purpose? What is the purpose of the session? Do we have a planned out throughout the seasons on what our goal is going to be? Are we trying to improve their kicking? Are we trying to improve their body awareness? Is it their strength? What is the purpose of what is the monthly goal? What is the weekly goal? What is our daily goal? And of course, active. We want to get them moving. We want them to continue focusing on those fundamental movement skills and just staying active, especially at those early stages where we have that physical literacy window that is extremely important. Last, thank you. And I'm going to open up the floor for any questions that anyone may have.
Yeah, and I'll just chime in there as well. Thanks, Sebastian. That was fantastic. Yeah, so if there's any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. I think I might have been the only one with a question, but maybe what we can do is, if Sebastian has the opportunity, I myself am as a technical artistic gymnastics coach, I love those agility games, and I want to integrate a lot more of that into my practices as well. So if we maybe start a folder or a link with videos and explanations to those, I think those will be really great to share with the community as we can. Yeah, and we will also, of course, have this webinar available. Looks like Thorsten he's recorded it all. Yeah, and we have a couple of other engagement pieces there. So if you want to check out some of the other stuff we do with Oval HP or the Richmond Oval, or you want to contact Sebastian or myself, you can contact us through there. Thorsten, if there were any other questions, do you mind throwing them our way? Or if you're feeling good, we can wrap this up, chat a little more. What you feeling?
I like that. Thank you. So I think one of the questions that came up here is, fitness sessions are part of the sport specific sessions or separate? So the question, I think, is, do you think, Sebastian, that a fitness session should be included in the sport specific sessions, or should they be totally separate?
That depends on, I would say that depends on that's my answer. It's honestly, it depends. There's many variables. It's what is the knowledge of the sports coach when it comes to the physical development of the athlete. What is our goal? What is needed for that sport? Are we following the stages that are important for athlete development? One thing that I've noticed is that there's a lack of education when it comes to, strength training or physical training for specific sports. A lot of the times I think sport coaches should focus a little bit more on skill development, because I see them tiring their athletes a little bit too much, where, hey, go run 3 miles, that's going to be your warm up, and then come back to me. Where if they had a little bit more a little higher understanding of, let's say, how to implement a proper warm up for that sport, where we're activating all the muscles that are needed for that specific sport, we can decrease our risk of injury, but we're also increasing that performance for that specific session, and over time continue to increase that performance. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that was a really good explanation. And I've seen it many times, especially with table tennis and my experiences, where there is no warm up. It's like, as you said in the beginning, it's like go 3 laps and that's it. There's no like, okay, let's do some dynamic stretching and let's all work together on this. I think in the North as well, it's sometimes because there is not enough understanding and knowledge, and you mentioned that as well. So I think this is perfect, because now we can educate and reach some of the kids and coaches that way. So thank you for that, Sebastian.
Yeah, I'll expand on that, if that's okay with you, Thorsten.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do have a lot of athletes and sport coaches asking me the same question on how to properly warm up. You know, just to give you an example, I have athletes who felt that if they would have been properly warmed up, maybe certain injuries wouldn't have happened. And during a warm up, it's about learning what movements. We don't want to warm up, to give you an example, volleyball. We don't want to start warming up by playing a volleyball game. We want to make sure volleyball is very hard on the shoulders, very hard on the knees, very hard on the ankles, hard on the lower back as well. So are we activating the shoulder muscles through specific exercises that way when we do hit a ball, we are using those muscles responsible for hitting the ball, and not other muscles that are and our muscles are not relaxed, which causes more stress on our shoulder joints, right? And the smaller muscles, right? So we need to make sure that those muscles are properly activated, and we're not going to accomplish that by hey, okay, you're sweating, that means you're warm. There's more to warming up and than just sweat. And yeah.
I like that. Thank you. Another question was, for in the Northwest Territories, we have a lot of athletes that are doing multiple sports. So they're preparing for the Canada Summer Games now, and then they also go into the Canada Winter Games right away in the Arctic Winter Games. And that might be even 3 different sports. So do you think there's like a basic setup of warm up and stretches that everybody should do depending on all sports combined?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say they are playing let's say they're playing hockey, let's go table tennis, judo, and would you mind filling in the other one?
Basketball.
Basketball. Okay, so all those sports that we just mentioned, very hard on the shoulders, right? So we can look at those sports and find the similarities. Okay, so these sports were high incidence in shoulder issues, shoulder injuries. Okay, can we do a warm up where we're focusing specifically on shoulders? And I don't mean just, hey, push-ups until you can't do another push-up. So can we target those stabilizing push-ups? Can we go and open up our T-spine and our thoracic spine, which is very important for our shoulders? So doing some thoracic rotations and some exercises, for example, called open books, or going into a push-up position and doing shoulder touches, making sure our stabilizing muscles are activating, or going into a downward dog where we're pushing our head through our shoulders and we're getting full range of motion. Ankles, very important for those sports as well, right? So are we, for example, going and doing a lunge in a controlled manner and keeping our heel on the floor and trying to bring our knee slowly over our toe? doing single leg, some single leg squats, slow and controlled, just simple things like that. I can also share a sample warm up that would be for, that can be used for either table tennis, basketball, hockey. So it's not so much about, hey, I play basketball, I need to do this exercise. There's a general exercises for those specific joints that we can be doing.
That's great. Thanks, Sebastian. And I think the one comment that we had, and Cassidy alluded to it, is if you have any resources that you can share, we can add that to our website. And any links that you have, those fun activities that you showed with the head, shoulder, and everything else, I love that. And if you can share that with us, then we can add that to the website, and just under your section, we can add it to that. So thank you very much for you, and thanks, Cassidy, for doing this. And it was fantastic from my end. And maybe I'll give the last words to Cassidy.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who is able to join us from wherever. We really appreciate anyone listening, and again, just wanting to support their athletes in a very athlete-centered kind of approach. And how do we start with that? And kind of start at the foundation. So thank you, Sebastian, for helping lead that way, and leading us into the rest of these webinars, which we'll be talking a little bit more about mental performance and mindfulness. We'll have some nutrition webinars, as well as a little bit on leadership and integrating these experts and knowledgeable coaches into your guys' teams. So really exciting stuff we have going on here.
Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you hopefully next week.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye.